Welcome to Backstage 421, the musicians only podcast with your host, author, and music lover, Charles Campbell. Charles will have an awesome array of guests from many genres of music, so sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. By the way, Ray Mattis is the composer of this awesome intro music.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Backstage 421, the Musicians Only podcast. I'm your host, small town horror author and music lover, Charles Campbell. And today I have a very special guest. She is the lead singer of a group that I have followed for years. I followed them when they were a ska band and all the way up until their last record, Push and Shove, back in 2012, I think it was. But anyway, my musical guest today is Natalie Lacy. Welcome to the show, Natalie.
Thank you so much.
It's awesome having you because back in the day, I was a No Doubt nut and love No Doubt. And I do love Gwen Stefani as well. But I will say up front, I liked her better with the band.
Me too. Yeah.
Better with
agree.
Better with the boys. But I digress. So what I'd like to do is give you a chance to introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about your background and how you got into music, because you're a pretty good singer. You sound really, really good, and I'm sure you sing other things outside of No Doubt, but I'll be quiet and let you give us a little background info.
Okay, well, one of the things that I do have in common with Gwen is I am actually from Orange County, California. Nice. I was born in Ohio, moved to Irvine when I was 8 years old. So I don't remember anything about Ohio, so I just basically say I'm from Orange County. So I went to the same high school in Irvine as Tom Dumont, the guitar player of No Doubt. We didn't know each other, but it's just, that's kind of my accolade to, I grew up in the same area as them. So I got my start singing in church. I was in middle school and I did a solo in church, and I was really, really nervous. And I remember the church choir, the director was looking at me and he's like, "You got this, you can do this." And when I belted out my solo, his mouth dropped open and he was like, "You can do that?" And I was like, "I didn't even know I could do that," because the adrenaline and everything,
right.
Singing. And from then on, I was hooked. And I then, so back in the day with the Craigslist, I applied for a backup singer position in an original band in California, and we were sponsored by Skechers.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, it was pretty cool. We made a CD, and then from there I went on to a funk band, and we played all up and down the Sunset Strip, and I've opened for Missing Persons and English Beat in Newport Beach, California. So I moved here to Charlotte, North Carolina when I was in 2005. So I've been here for a while, and ever since moving here in 2005, I've been in cover bands. And I decided I want to, because all my cover bands that I've been in, we do Just a Girl by No Doubt, and everyone's like, "You look just like Gwen, you sound just like her." And I was like, you know what? I'm gonna form a tribute band here. And I did this 10 years ago. Same name, Spiderwebs, a tribute to No Doubt. And I piggybacked with a few musicians who were in a Pink Floyd tribute band. So my Pink Floyd tribute band musicians were the same people in my Spiderwebs, and we would do these dual shows, but it didn't make really a lot of sense because Pink Floyd and No Doubt are so different.
Right.
So it didn't last very long. It lasted maybe a year. We played Appalachian State. We played down in Charleston, and there wasn't really that great of a, response to it. So we broke up. Fast forward 10 years later, I'm trying it again. Whoa. And we have been having a great time. And I got all new band members, not the Pink Floyd people anymore. I got all new band members, and some of my band members don't really even listen. They haven't listened to No Doubt before, which is kind of cool. Like my keyboard player, and well, I mean, they're not as in depth of a listening capacity like I have.
Right.
My drummer, they were like, wow, some of these songs are really hard. Like the verses and the choruses, and Tony, the bass player, plays such awesome, riffs and.
Oh yeah, well, Adrian lied his ass off to get on into the band, the original
He
band.
sure did. He didn't even he didn't even know how to play drums or something.
Yeah, that's right. He said, "How hard can it be?" Right?
Right? Yeah. Now, yeah. So it's been great. I do all of the booking. I do all of the promo stuff, the videos. I'm really enjoying making videos for promoting and stuff. It's pretty fun, and the costumes, and it's fun.
Well, because I do host a musicians only podcast, I think I got served up your video on a Facebook ad, or that's how I saw you, was on Facebook, and so I went and searched you out and listened to the promo video you did, and I was like, oh my God, they sound really good. So that's why I reached out to you. I'm always looking for musicians to talk to. I do this for fun, so
yeah. Well, I'm totally honored. Like this is more than I ever did 10 years ago, and I started it back then. So this is thank you for the opportunity.
We'll see if we can get you some more followers and listeners.
Yeah,
and
the thing in this day and age, in order to book gigs, you got to have followers, and you got to have a fan base and stuff. And our first gig for Spiderwebs that we did was in Woodstock, Georgia, and they were selling tickets at Mad Life, and I'm like. Nobody knows who we are. We're from Charlotte, North Carolina. There's not going to be anybody there. And it was close to selling out. And I walked out on that stage and was like, oh my gosh. And the sad part about that is I had just gotten over laryngitis like a week before. So my voice, I thought I was going to have to cancel, but I powered through.
Yeah.
So my voice isn't as good. I could do so much better.
Right. Well, you did the show must go on thing, which I do appreciate. And I've seen a bunch of live shows, and I can tell sometimes when artists aren't feeling it, or they don't have everything with them, but they give their best effort. So it's still appreciated by the people you're singing to, for sure. Because we're all human, and we all have bad days and good days. So
yeah, exactly.
But let me get into a little bit more about your No Doubt discovery, and I'm going to hold up a couple of items. I wasn't bullshitting you when I told you I was an old school No Doubt fan. So
okay,
I have my
Live in the Tragic Kingdom.
Yeah, I have my Live in the Tragic Kingdom DVD.
I just watched that a couple weeks ago for the 20th time. I want to do some moves. I need to emulate her, and
I got the videos, the 90,
single.
Yeah, the 92 to 2003.
Okay, nice. Gosh, I wish I would have had all my stuff ready. I would have.
Well, I'm trying to promote, and we have the Rocksteady Live stuff, and I got a couple of albums here. But let's get back to you, and how did you discover No Doubt, and when did you get that itch to be like Gwen Stefani and do your thing? But I want to hear that backstory a little bit.
Well, I heard Just a Girl on the radio, and I was like, what is this? This girl's voice is amazing. What is, I've always loved reggae music and ska music. And when I heard that on K-Rock in California,
right,
I was like, who is this? So I looked it up, and it's funny because when I saw the video for Just a Girl, I thought it was one of the Spice Girls, the Sporty Spice, because it had the midriff on the pants. I was like, oh, Sporty Spice went blonde and solo. Okay. But it wasn't, it was No Doubt. So from then on, I just started following them, and I actually didn't even get a chance to really see them until Return of Saturn album, which was many years later. But it was just, I think, for me, being in the music industry as a female, she was everything that I wanted to be. Spunky, but still, beautiful. And I would copy her, just her kind of edginess, but I would still wear heels on stage. That was my shtick, is that I would wear heels. I don't do that anymore though, but I would wear heels on stage, and I would be spunky like her. And, her voice, it's really hard to copy her vibrato. I can't do it, but I do the best I can.
Oh yeah. Well, you do a great job, but I know exactly what you're saying, because there's certain notes she can hit that I haven't heard anyone hit, and it's her voice. It's just her God-given talent is what it is. all it
Yeah.
is. Can't teach it in a music class. You can't teach
No.
it in a singing class. It's just there's a quality there, and I know exactly what you're talking about. I can hear it in my head right now. I'm not
Mhm.
even going to try to mimic it with mine, but I know what you mean. Yes, she's pretty amazing.
Right.
And I like
So
the guy. Go
go
ahead.
ahead.
No.
I was always trying to find people when I moved to North Carolina to connect with, regarding No Doubt. But since we're on the opposite coast, there really wasn't too many. So when I formed my Spiderwebs and people actually came to the shows and were singing along, I was like, this is exactly what I want. I want to bond with people who respect No Doubt and who know the words, and also like female singers, because there's not a lot of bands around town that have female singers. There's maybe like a handful.
Right. Well, I'm going to tell you something that I've told other podcast guests. My music personally is estrogen driven, so I listen to a ton of female singers. That's what my ear likes to hear for whatever
That's cool.
reason.
Do
So,
you like Alanis Morissette?
oh yeah, I like Alanis Morissette. I
Yeah.
saw you had someone that is doing covers of her too. I forget the name.
Black Fly Chardonnay.
Okay, Black Fly
What
Chardonnay.
would you like to know an interesting tidbit?
Sure.
That is also me.
Oh, really? I didn't. I didn't look at the picture close enough. I guess if I would have studied it, that's pretty cool. Well,
So we're doing a dual gig. Black Fly Chardonnay, Alanis. We're opening up for Spiderwebs, and
Oh
it's
my God! Yeah,
same members. I put a brown wig on and I changed my personality 100%. I'm not all boisterous. I'm just like kind of mellow, and hands stay at the side, and play my harmonica, and then we have a half-hour break, and I'll go backstage and change into my Gwen.
Oh, that's funny. Yeah, you sent me the promo pic, and I thought it was two different people. I didn't study it super close. And I was like, that's pretty cool. She's got a friend that does Alanis for us.
I've even made some videos where I spliced them together, and the Alanis and Gwen are walking side by side, and
Oh wow.
me.
So tell me about the shows you're doing now. Let the listening audience know where you're performing, and kind of what got you in this band together. I know you gave us a little backstory on getting this group together, but do you have an interesting story of how you formed the band, how you met these guys?
So some of the band members had never met before. I handpicked the band members. My guitar player is been one of my best friends for 7 years. And we're also in another 90s band together. So he was the one that pushed me to get this back together. He's like, let's do it. It's perfect timing. Gwen's on The Voice. She's relevant. People, are starting to remember No Doubt again. And I was like, okay. So, I handpicked musicians that are in the area that I'm friends with, and I know that they have a lot of talent. Our bass player is extremely talented, and he kind of looks like Tony. So that was cool. My drummer, he fills in for my 90s band a lot, so I'm friends with him. And my keyboard player, I've known him for years, and we've never worked together. And I remember sitting down with him. I met him at a bar one time, and I sat down with him and I said, would you be interested in being in a No Doubt tribute band with me? He didn't even think about it. He was like, yep. What if it had to do with you being in the band? I want to work with you. And I was like, okay. So I was really, really happy, because I don't play horns. We don't have any horns in our band. We don't have a Gabe or Steven. So I wanted to have a keyboard player. We need one.
Right.
He plays all the horn parts and does background, because no one else sings but me.
Yeah.
So I'm really happy to have him.
Yeah, I agree with that. The horn players on No Doubt, they do add a lot to the band, and but I'm glad you're able to find something to kind of fill the void a little bit. Yeah. I wasn't thinking that way until you just mentioned it, and I can hear them in my head now. So that's pretty cool.
I can play the trumpet a little bit. So I'm like, how about I play the trumpet? How cool would that be? I can, be Gwen and then go out there and play the trumpet as well. So I bought one and I started practicing, and all it did was just leave a giant ring around my lips. And I was like, nope, not going to do it.
Nice. Oh my goodness. So if you could let the listening audience know kind of the areas you're playing right now, what region can we find Spiderwebs?
Well, we only have a few more gigs on the books because summer has gotten pretty filled up. This is our first full, summer of being a band. So we've got Huntersville, North Carolina. And then we are doing Ziggy's, which is in High Point, North Carolina. We've got the Orange Peel, which is in Asheville. But that is really all we have right now. So we're thinking about maybe reaching out to some management to see if they can maybe get us on some festivals, because it's really hard to do it, without any representation.
Yeah.
I'm surprised at the number of gigs that I've booked just by myself, just by reaching out to people who think that it's a great combination to have the Atlantis and the No Doubt together. They love that because they don't have to pay an opening band.
Right.
We're the opening band. So if we got some representation, I think they might have a bigger pull for like festivals and, other shows, because we're not a bar band. That's the thing.
Right.
I could go out and get a bar gig at any point, but we're not a bar band. We are a show. We're a tribute show.
Right. Right.
And you can't. I change costumes and I go backstage and I change, and we have bananas that people dress up like bananas and come out on stage for Hollaback Girl. It's so fun, but you can't do that at a bar.
Yeah.
So we're looking for like, venues that are like theaters, like
Right.
Mad Life. Great. So that's really, I wish I had more. I wish I had a whole list of gigs to tell you that.
No. Yeah, you just got to put yourself out there. It's like you said,
Yeah.
you got to get representation to get the shows booked.
Right.
I'm going to talk to my wife. We may drive out to the show that's 2 hours away. I'm not sure. We'll see what our schedule looks like, but I definitely would like to see you guys live for sure.
It would be great.
Yeah. It would be awesome.
There's a place here in town called Amos South End. It's in Charlotte, and we've had like 50% of our gigs at this venue. It's one of the biggest live music venues. We've done Grunge Fest, where there was a Pearl Jam and Alice in Chains, and then the No Doubt tribute, which was kind of cool. It was, they called it plaid and platinum. So the guys were the plaid and I was the platinum.
Yeah. Well, we've come to Charlotte a few times for shows. I saw Garbage there twice at the Fillmore.
Nice.
Yeah. So we're a little.
Fillmore on my list. That's my. Just got a contact for Fillmore. That would be so. Maybe you could come to that one if we.
Yeah. Well, the Fillmore's a great, and I'm sure you've been there, probably seeing other bands. Maybe don't know, but I like the venue. It's a nice venue. It's not too big. It's not too small. It's
right.
Like just right.
Yeah.
It sounds really good.
It does. The sound is great.
So outside of Gwen, who are some of your musical influences? And there's a question I'm going to ask you in a couple minutes that I ask all musicians on the show. But besides Gwen, who did you listen to growing up, and who did you gravitate toward?
I gravitated toward a country artist named Trisha Yearwood. Do you know who that is?
Oh yeah, everyone knows who that is. Yeah.
Oh, I think she has one of the most incredible voices that I've ever heard, and this was in the 90s. I love her voice, so I tried to sound like her. Linda Ronstadt.
That's a good one.
Yeah. That song Four Non Blondes, What's Up, Linda Perry. I think her voice is amazing. But those are my top three.
Well, that's a good top three. I'm a little older than you. I grew up in the late 70s and 80s, so I graduated high school in 1987. So I'm dating myself. But I was like Olivia Newton-John back in the day, and like early stuff coming up. But I did go through my hip hop phase in high school, where I listened to Run DMC and UTFO and all those guys.
I never really went through a hip hop stage. My husband loves hip hop, and I'm just like, I don't know. I think, I never really got into it. We do in my other band, we do Shoop.
Yeah.
Shoop it and
Salt and Pepper.
Yeah, is that who that is?
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm like, I didn't really listen. I'd never listened to boy bands either. I was pure grunge. I loved Alice in Chains. I loved Pearl Jam. I'm totally a 90s.
Yeah. Well, when during my hip hop phase though, that was back when rappers told stories.
Oh,
That you had stories in the song. So Run DMC would tell you a story. UTFO would tell you a story. All these old school rappers, Houdini, they LL Cool J, even they were all storytellers.
yeah.
But in some still are to a degree, not nearly as many. You have a lot of what they call mumble rap now, and it's that da 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 da, and I just can't stand that stuff. I just check out whenever I hear
Yeah.
that stuff. But yeah, I digress. So you say you played the trumpet, or you started learning how to play the trumpet. Do you play any other instruments at all? You said the harmonica. Okay.
Mhm. Harmonica, and I dabble in a little bit of keyboards. I'm just a filler in my other band that I'm in, just because we have a guy singer and me. So when I'm not singing and he is, I'll play around, but I really don't enjoy it. I'm not good. I've been in this band 10 years and I still have stickers on my keyboard of where my fingers are supposed to go. I'm just not. I am an entertainer. I like to be out in front of the PA system and out with the crowd and use my wireless mic. I really don't like being stuffed behind a keyboard or even a mic stand, but I do it. That's why I love the Spiderwebs so much, is because I get to be the show.
Yeah.
And jump around and everyone's like, how do you have so much energy? And I'm like, I don't know.
Oh geez. Yeah, that's we've seen No Doubt a couple times and saw Gwen on one of her solo shows in Atlanta at an amphitheater. And I'm making the point that you just made. She's like the Energizer Bunny. Like at the Atlanta show in the amphitheater, she gets off stage and she walks the entire crowd where the seats are, going up and down the seats while they're singing. I mean, she came close enough for us to touch her.
Really?
Yeah, it was. This was with her first solo album.
Okay.
What was that? It had Wind It Up on it, I believe. I can't remember the name of it.
Was it Love Angel Music Baby?
Yeah, that may have been it. But yeah, so it was supporting that tour, whichever. It had the Sweet Escape on it. I remember singing that.
Okay.
So whichever album that was. But yeah, it's like you said, she's the Energizer Bunny. So if you're emulating that, I don't know how you do it, because I don't know how you run and sing and dance and do all that stuff at the same time without giving out of breath.
I know. Well, I get out of breath. I was out of breath. We played outside this weekend and it was 90 degrees. Humidity was off the, crazy. It was about to storm. And the guy that made my guitar player who made the set list decided to put Just a Girl and then that Lit song, My Own Worst Enemy, back to back. And I sing both of them. And I jump in both of those. And I was like, oh my gosh, I'm about to pass out. Wouldn't that be funny if I passed out in front of 15,000 people?
No, that wouldn't be funny.
That wouldn't be funny. That's my worst fear, by the way.
Well, that's a good one. That's a good one to have. Yeah. But I do like live shows for the unknown element. And I was mentioning Jen Wigmore to you before we came on the podcast, and there's a video of her in New York, I believe it was, and she starts a song that she's sung live thousands of times, and she screws up at the beginning, and then she just starts laughing, and her guitar player is saying, don't worry, it's her birthday, it's her birthday. I like seeing that kind of stuff where people mess up and they just start over again.
Really?
Yeah, well, I love that stuff.
You would have loved my Spiderweb show that I had last weekend, because we were singing kind of a B-side song, Platinum Blonde Life. Do you know that song?
Yeah, I do.
So I love to sing that song. The band loves to play that song. It's, the crowd, I think we do such a great job covering that song that the crowd stays engaged. And even though most of them have never heard that song before, but our microphones went out. My microphone went out and I had in-ear. I had no idea because it was still in my ears, and I was watching the crowd and they were looking at me and they're like, pointing ears and these bewildered faces. And I was like, oh, okay. So I ran over to my guitar player's microphone and I went to grab his and I started singing in his, and they were like, giving me the looks like, we can't hear you. We can't hear you. And I'm like, well, what do I do? So right now I'm basically, it's just instrumental. That's all it is, because nobody can hear anything. And it wasn't like I could cue the crowd to help me sing because they don't know the song.
They don't know the song. Yeah.
So I did some stupid dance, and they were like, "Do you remember when Ashley Simpson, when she was on Saturday Night?"
Yeah, with the track.
That is so what I did. I just did this little jig, and everyone started, clapping and everything. And I was like, "Oh my gosh!" And then the mics came back on, and I was like, "In 25 years of performing, that has never happened ever. Usually, everything goes dead, and then it's silent, not just the mics." So.
Well, you're not the only one on Platinum Blonde Life. That's probably my top favorite No Doubt songs. I love that song.
Really?
Yeah, I do.
I love it too.
Yeah,
and it's on that live, the Rocksteady Live.
Yeah, yep.
It's like, woo!
Yeah. Platinum Blonde Life, and then she said, "Keep bleaching out the color." I don't remember all the lyrics, but yeah, that's in my top 5 No Doubt songs.
I would like to know what your top 5 songs are.
My top 5, in no particular order. That was one.
Okay.
I don't really want to rank them like that, but
Yeah.
top 5. I will say Sunday Morning. Love that one.
Oh, I do too.
Yeah. Everyone's favorite, Don't Speak. I love that one.
Okay, that's fun to sing.
Yep. I like geez, off the Rocksteady album. Not Rocksteady. The Hey Baby. I like Hey Baby's another because it's real catchy. Hey baby, hey baby.
Yeah.
And another one off that album that I really like is Underneath It All. I don't know if that's 5, but those are my up there. Now you may have expected Just a Girl. I do love Just a Girl. And that's the one that I heard first too, and got into No Doubt, and then went and listened to their older stuff, the Beacon Street stuff, and I do like that stuff too. I like it a lot. Like Snakes, and that was a cool song when I first heard it. But yeah, I could ramble about No Doubt. Off of Push and Shove, my favorite song, oddly enough, is Looking Hot. And
okay,
not that I look hot.
I just used that for a video too. I just used that song as a background for a video I made for promoting.
And they have a very good live version. They did at some radio station. I don't know if you've ever seen it, but look it up on YouTube. Looking Hot Live, and it's from a radio station, and it's kind of acoustic. But it's Gwen and the band. They're in there, and Adrian's not even playing the drums. I think he's beating on something on the. Like
really?
Yeah. So it's pretty good. So go check that out. But but yeah.
We've only been doing one song off of Push and Shove, and that's Settle Down. Yeah. We started our set with it, but nobody knows that song. So
I don't know why that album didn't catch on. It's a great album. And I got it right here too. But
yep.
Love that record.
There's a song called Sparkle, I think, that's kind of slow, and it's really pretty. I'm like, wow, this is, yeah.
And then after that, I guess they just kind of disbanded, and I've been hoping and hoping they would get back together again at some point.
They've never officially broken up.
Okay.
What if they got Rock and Roll Hall of Fame? Then they would have to all get together and,
Yeah. Well, they haven't officially broken up, but you haven't played anything in like 11 years, so.
No, I know, and yeah, I've got some opinions that I'll talk to you off record. Oh, I like your garbage shirt.
Oh, thank you. Well, that's they are my favorite band. Garbage.
Are they?
Yeah, they are, and I've got to meet Shirley a couple of times. So
lucky.
That was pretty awesome. Hadn't got her on the podcast yet, but yeah.
Oh my gosh, that's awesome. We tried to do I think I'm Only Happy When It Rains is the song that we tried to do with the 90s band that I'm in, and it didn't go over very well, but we don't do any garbage at all.
Yeah. Well, they're still touring, and I'm going to a show on June 24th, and they released an EP. Not that this is a garbage podcast, but they released an EP a few weeks ago, and the band, they have a cover of Cities and Dust by Susie and the Banshees.
Okay.
It's freaking amazing.
Really?
Yeah. It's blew my mind how good it is, and it's different. Oh. It's the garbage sound. It's not, and Susie's is the original. It's the it's the OG. It's great, but Garbage put their own spin on it, and it's really, really good.
I'll have to definitely look that up.
Yeah, it's called Cities and Dust. You probably remember it from Susie and the Banshees.
I only know one Susie and the Banshee song that for a popular one.
Well,
I don't think
that one was popular in see, I'm 54 years old. It's hard for me to remember song titles now.
it is hard. Yeah, it is. I'm right there with you.
But I know what you're I can hear the song in my head, but I can't remember the dang title. But anyway, the question I was going to ask you that I ask all the musicians on here, living or no longer with us, who would you have loved to have collaborated or performed with?
Oh, wow. That's a great question. I don't know. Probably Chris Cornell. I was really, really sad he died. Like that hit me really hard.
Yeah, that hit a lot of people.
I would have loved, I would have loved to like sing his backups or harmonized with him. That would have been really, really super cool. But Eddie Vedder, I love them. Like I know you're more of an estrogen driven, you know, I love like Chris Cornell and Eddie Vedder. Like that would be so awesome to like run into him. I know he does karaoke sometimes. Like if I walk into a karaoke bar and he was there, I would be like,
oh, does he really? I didn't know that.
Yeah, there's been videos of him doing karaoke.
That's pretty cool.
I know. Yep.
Wow. I wonder how many, I mean, you know, he's well known across the world, but I wonder how many karaoke bars he walks into and people just don't know who he is.
Oh, I'm sure that, yeah. And if I ever got a chance to meet Gwen, I never have. I wouldn't be like, oh my gosh, let's talk about your makeup or, you know, whatever. Let's sing. I would want to sing. Like, let's sing a song. I think that would be so cool. I've never had a chance to meet her, but I did go to a concert and when she was here on her solo tour in Charlotte, I made a sign and I had a bum flap. So I shoved the sign in my bum flap because, you know, we weren't allowed to take signs in. And my sign said, "Gwen, can I give you flowers?" And I had a bouquet of yellow roses. And so I held up my sign because I had like maybe 7th row. And she read it on stage.
Oh, wow.
Like, "When can and she was like, "Come on." And so I hopped over as fast as I could, all over the everyone made a way for me. And I went to the front and I was able to hand her the flowers. And then I spent the rest of the show just like staring up at her the whole time. Yeah. Nice. It was pretty cool.
One.
So I have a funny story that, you know, I always get approached. Lately, it's been that I look like Lady Gaga. I don't know, but my whole life it's been like, you know, ever since my hair is not naturally blonde, but just people, I guess, for me being on stage, are like, "Yo, you remind me of Gwen Stefani." Must be because I'm a blonde singer. But one time I got approached by Belk, the department store Belk. Do you remember them?
Oh yeah. We still have one here.
Okay. So they reached out and it was a promotions department of Belk and they were hosting Gwen's new fragrance line, Lamb, her perfume.
Right.
I wanted to know if I could come be a, you know, impersonator at their conference that they were having at a hotel. And I was like, really? Okay. So I drove all the way to Raleigh and I sang a karaoke version of Sweet Escape while they pushed me on a luggage cart in the middle of their conference. And I was like, nice. It was so fun. And I think they paid me, I don't know, a couple $100 or whatever, but my claim to fame is that they also let me walk away with this.
Oh.
Her Lamb perfume that I've had, and I've had this cardboard cutout with me for years and years. It goes everywhere, every house. Was in my garage, so she's a little dusty.
That's awesome.
But I thought that was pretty funny.
That is awesome. I don't have any cool shit like that. Nice. Oh man. So playing these shows, and I ask this a lot of musicians I ask the same question. Have you had anything strange or weird or funny happen at any of these shows? Do you have a story maybe from a overzealous fan or just something that may have popped up at one of these shows that you're like, wow, that was really interesting?
Um, just that I've met people that are actually from the same hometown as me. I've recently come in contact with somebody that I went to high school with who is best friends with Tom Dumont. And he's like, one of these days I'm going to surprise you and he's going to be at your show. And I was like, oh my gosh, well, don't tell us, because that would be nerve wracking. There's been some people that have, when I've sung Don't Speak, that are like, that song got me through breakups, and thank you for doing that song. It's for covering that song, and it's just really like, it makes me feel good inside that I'm making people remember, back to when those songs were really popular and it got them through something. So,
well, from my perspective, you're kind of filling a void too. I mean, No Doubt's not touring, and they're not releasing any new music that I know of. And so people who want to hear No Doubt live, that's a good hole to fill, because you're good at it. If you're, I saw the reaction video that you posted on YouTube of the people that watched your show, and you could see in their eyes, and one lady had a ducky, so you need to tell me about that, how they get duckies. But you could see it in their eyes. They really had a good time, and it kind of took them back to another time and another place. So you and your band, you're really filling a void. And, as a music lover, I definitely appreciate that for sure. So back to the ducky. Tell me about the ducky. How'd that come about?
Well, I like to use props. I like to get people involved. So that song is for that particular prop is for the song Bathwater.
Mm-hmm.
So during the vamp out of Bathwater, at the last part, I will have a machine that blows bubbles, and then I'll take these ducks that I must have 500 ducks laying around the house, because before every show I have to make the ducks, which consists of putting a little thing around their neck with our stamp, with our logo and our website. It's kind of a marketing tool. And I'll throw them out in the crowd. And I have realized that I am not a very good thrower, because I've got usually really long nails on, and I've hit some people in the face because they weren't expecting the duck. There was a lady sitting down, she was eating, and I threw the duck at her, and it like bonked her in the face, and I was like, oh my gosh, I am so sorry. And she's like, it's okay. But yeah, so if they catch a duck, then they can, some of them quack too, which are really cute. And they have our little, people really appreciate it. They appreciate walking out with something that they got from the show. So, and it's got our band name on it, and hopefully we get new followers, and people want to come out and see it again. So
that was cool. I saw the lady with the duck in her hands, and she said, I got a duck. And I was like, oh wow, I'd like to get a duck. That's pretty cool.
Okay, come to a show, Charles. I will attempt to throw you a duck, hopefully.
Okay.
Or I'll save you one. There was my friend that was coming out, and I knew it was her birthday, and she was coming to the show, and I went to the dollar store. I got this giant duck that was all glittery and sparkly, and I made sure to throw her like a special
duck.
Yeah, because it was her birthday.
Oh, nice.
So a couple weeks ago, we incorporated a money gun for Rich Girl. That song.
Oh, yeah.
If it wasn't girl. So, yes. So I had not used the money gun before, so this is my first time. And basically what it is the gun, you shoot it, and it shoots out these fake $100 bills. So I was all excited to use it. I was all ready, we didn't rehearse it or anything. I just bought it on Amazon, filled it up. And so at this one particular part, I was like, you ready to be rich? And I shot the gun, but all the money came out all at once. It just went right down on the floor, and everyone's like, oh, because they couldn't get to it.
They had to pick it up and throw it.
I did. I picked some of it up and I threw it, and so that was fun. It's like a party.
Yep. Nice. Yeah, I was actually humming that song the other day, and my wife was like, "What is that?" I said, "Rich Girl." She said, "Oh, okay, I remember." Because I was going da 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 da, walking down the hallway.
That's funny. And you know what that's from?
What's it from?
Fiddler on the Roof.
Oh yeah.
Remember that?
Yep.
I started listening to that, and I was like, "Yep, that's where she got that from."
Geez. Yeah, I was trying to think back to Fiddler on the Roof. But yeah, you're right. That's exactly where
That
she
was
got
a rich man. Da, 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 da.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah. So we have for our shows called the Banana Bunch, and it's a group. Usually, it's the band wives and best friends club, and they have their own banana costumes. And for Hollaback Girl, they will go. They know exactly when to go backstage and get their banana costumes on and come out and get the crowd really going crazy. And so, a couple shows ago, the Banana Bunch came out, and I was looking at them, and there was a banana I didn't recognize, and I was like, who's this guy? Who is this? Do I know you? Why are you in a costume at my show? Well, it turned out when the Banana Bunch was backstage, he had followed them and he's like, I want to be banana too. And they're like, all right, we have an extra one. You just have to go crazy and dance and his pom-poms. And that's what he did. I was like, there's got to be a way that I can make some sort of find somebody and, at every show and say, be part of the Banana Bunch, get on stage. Not everyone wants to be on stage, but I'd do it.
Yeah. Well, it sounds like fun. I guess you need to take a crate of bananas out there now and throw those to the crowd.
I know. I was thinking they have those little runts, the banana runts.
Oh, yeah.
That'd be fun.
Yeah.
They're going to have to leave with goodie bags because of all the stuff I throw out on stage.
Oh, man. Well, what I'd like to do is give you some time to tell the listeners where they can find Spiderwebs. I'm going to put every link that I have for you in the podcast notes below. So listeners, you can find the links there. But Natalie's going to tell you where you can find Spiderwebs, where you can find their stuff. And I'm going to be quiet for a few minutes.
Well, you can find Spiderwebs via the World Wide Web, www.spiderwebstribute.com, Facebook, Spiderwebs Tribute, Instagram, Spiderwebs Tribute, YouTube, Spiderwebs Tribute. I feel like that is the branding that works well, Spiderwebs Tribute.
Yeah, and when you think of No Doubt, that was one of their hits, Spiderwebs.
It was, yeah. And and I am a fan of naming our band after a song, because then when we do the song, I could say, this is the name of our band. Now you'll never forget. That's where I have come up with that idea.
Yeah, well, that's a good idea, and it ties in, it ties into No Doubt.
Mm-hmm.
Before we, kind of conclude the podcast, I just want to ask you another question or two. One that comes to mind is, I know you're in a cover band, but you're an immensely talented singer. And what I want to know is, do you do any songwriting at all by chance?
I have in the past. I have.
And I like to ask this of all the singers, especially, what is your process for songwriting? I'm an author myself, so I'm always interested in other creative people's processes and how they come up with things. So when you sit down to write a song, kind of, what is your process when you do that?
I usually think of a topic, something that's heavy on my heart, something that's going around in society, something, the last couple of songs that I've written was about a relationship that I was, going through. So those are easy to just what I'm feeling, but I don't play an instrument, enough to write a song. So it's usually I collaborate with a guitar player who has a melody already written or formed, and then I come up with the words and the structure of the song. But I haven't songwritten and it's been a while.
Yeah.
It's 7 years.
Okay. Well, is that something that you see in your future? Or do you think you may want to write more songs, or? Probably not. No.
I think I said everything I wanted to say, and now, I'm in a really good place in life, and it's like, really, I could write children's songs because
they're so happy songs. I was gonna say happy songs. There you go. Well, I think Tony Canal provided Gwen the material for about 20 songs. I'm exaggerating a little bit.
Well, there's a lot.
Yeah.
It's funny that they were able to continue to be in a band together.
Yeah. That was crazy.
great that they did that. You know, they were so close to wrapping it up, and they're like, because, you know, they had been together for many, many years before they finally got signed. And I think it was like they were on their last year, and they're like, if we don't make it, let's just go our separate ways. Gwen was going to become a professional makeup artist.
Yeah.
And they got signed and discovered like that last year. They were ready to give it up.
And you can correct me if I'm wrong, because I might be, but didn't her brother go off to be an animator or something?
Yeah.
Okay. For The Simpsons? So,
Mhm.
okay, cool. I couldn't remember who you did animation for, but I remember, you know, I wonder how he felt about that after No Doubt blew up. After
I don't, as far as I know, I think he was very happy with his career decision.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
I remember seeing a documentary a while back, and I remember that he was an animator, and he kind of, you know, and again, you correct me if I'm wrong, but I think he really started the band.
Yeah, it was, I think he was like, hey, little sis, do you want to come sing backups or whatever? Because they had John Spence as the singer.
Yeah, didn't he commit? He committed suicide, right? Yeah.
And then what do? Do we keep going? And Gwen's like, I'll do it.
Yeah.
So,
and the world is glad she did.
I know, right?
Glad she did.
It's funny, if we go back to where you said I was filling the void, our little tagline on Facebook is, if you miss No Doubt touring, you've come to the right place. Because that's how I feel. If you wish you saw No Doubt when they were live, if you wish, you know, if you miss seeing them live, then here, this is your best option.
Oh no, well, no, that it's not only an option, it's a good option. Because when I showed my wife the video, and she's a No Doubt fan too, she said, "Oh, we got to go see them," because she's missed seeing them live too. You know.
Yeah.
So I think, well, Natalie, it has been awesome talking to you. I love No Doubt. You love No Doubt. But what I want to know is, who are the guys in your band? Can you share that with the audience?
Sure, I would love to, and they would be honored that I did this, because we all are a group of friends, and I could not do any of this without them. So we've got Sean Price on drums. We've got Roy Haviv. He's our Tony, our bass player. Byron Stein is the keyboard player. He's the Steve and Gabe of No Doubt, of Spiderwebs. And then I've got Doug Cush. He's my guitar player, my right-hand man, and he's the best. And then there's me. So it's really a great group of musicians. Everybody's super talented. Everybody wants to do No Doubt justice. We don't go up there and half-ass it. We try and sound just like them, and really let people, if they close their eyes, they can get taken back to the No Doubt days when they were in their prime and touring and all that stuff.
Well, that's amazing. And I'm one of those people that love to go back to the No Doubt days. I am a No Doubt fan. Love them. Love what you guys are doing.
Thank you.
I really appreciate you coming on the podcast today. And
thank you for having
me. You're very welcome. And
it's awesome to connect with somebody else that loves No Doubt. That doesn't happen very often.
Yeah. Well, it needs to happen more often. So everybody listening, if you haven't listened to No Doubt before, go check them out, and then go to Spiderwebs and check them out. Spiderwebs Tribute.
Okay. There is another band called Spiderwebs that's a No Doubt tribute. I think they're from Canada.
Gotcha.
So we were playing a show and they tagged them, and I was like, oh, great. I don't think they've done anything since 2018. I'm like, great. They're getting views.
Okay, Spiderwebs Tribute, and it was spiderwebstribute.com, correct?
Yes.
Okay, again, I'm going to put all the links below. And I am your host, small town horror author Charles Campbell. You can find me at valleyboypublications.com. All my social media links are there. And you can find Backstage 421 specifically on Facebook. Listen and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. I also host a horror podcast called Horror 421, the podcast. So check that out if you like this podcast. And thank you guys. And I'll see you next time on Backstage 421.
We hope you enjoyed this week's episode of Backstage 421, the musicians only podcast. Be sure to tune in for the next episode. Please like and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. Listener support links can be found below. Thank you for your support.